welcome back to another quick video. A little distracted here because of a hurricane going on, but let that not stop us from talking to you guys today about Code Vein. Now, Code Vein is interesting because it is by Bandai Namco, and they are the keepers of the Soulsborne franchise. And this game is very, very similar to Dark Souls. So much so, in fact, that I didn't really even bother to learn the terminology for the currencies they use, but it is essentially Dark Souls with some minor twists on it. So it is very heavily based in the anime world. And what that means is a lot of anime influence, the character design, the feel of the game, very anime. Even the way the characters talk to each other. It's kind of one of those games where the mystery is going to be in you playing through this experience. From the little bit that I gathered in the playable demo, it looks like you are a character that has amnesia, and you wake up, and because of you essentially losing your essence, so to speak, you are imbued with this ability to, one, bring more life to the world through your blood, and two, use and absorb other blood types in a sense to change the way you fight in the world. So you can be a fighter class, you could be a ranger class, and there's probably a lot more. There's one that's magic based, and I'm sure there's going to be mixings and matchings. But the game kind of puts that in the lore context that it seems most people are locked into one thing or another. But you, because you are the chosen one, for lack of a better word, you're going to be able to go out into the world and absorb and learn new abilities and slowly bring life back to the world. Now, the level design, very interesting, very similar to Dark Souls in the sense that you're going to make long looping paths that open a door that bring you right back to your bonfire, for lack of a better word. The outside universe looks like it's a city, but it's been overrun with these giant crystals and these weird looking magics and these alien type beings that have inhabited it. And it's kind of your job to clean up the world and restore order via your blood. Now, I know I say the word blood a lot, but I don't want you to get the idea that this is like Bloodborne in the sense that it's very gory and very dark and gothic. This is actually the brightest and chirpiest Soulsborne game that I have seen to date. It's definitely much more bright color palette, again, going back to that anime style. And additionally, the tone and the kind of feel of the game doesn't feel as evil and looming. And I know I just said the world's, post-apocalyptic world and it looks kind of goofy, but everybody's wearing very flashy clothes, jackets with like long chains and sequins. Everybody has these very over-the-top, gaudy gas masks and crazy hairdo and facial tattoos and bright, colorful clothing and costume type jewelry. So that's why I say the tone isn't really that like dark and brooding that you see in a Dark Souls game. Definitely not a medieval universe. This is definitely grounded in more modern times. You see cars in the background, you see street lights. It's very clear that this is civilization gone very wrong, but more modern day than anything medieval. Combat, very similar to Dark Souls. You have your dodge roll, you have your perfect block, which is a parry. You have a light attack, a heavy attack. You have a stamina type system. And depending on which class you pick, there are a subset of abilities called gifts. The gifts are basically your high damaging or high, it changes the battlefield somehow. It gives you a big buff, gives you a defensive boost, does something. These are your kind of like your big major attacks. And to earn more essence, in a sense, to use them, you have a mechanic that basically absorbs energy from enemies that is not part of your regular attack or your heavy attack. So there's going to be a balance in kind of kiting enemies along to slowly drain a little bit more energy from them, figuring out when you want to use your big explosive attacks, and then figuring out when it's best to just use your heavy attacks and just do nothing. And You're going to basically work your way through these tunnels and fight enemies. Some of them are easy, some of them are harder. You'll eventually get to more boss type fights. But if you've played any Dark Souls games, or if you've played Sekiro, or you've played Neo, this is the identical formula, just really in an anime setting. Not something that necessarily appeals to me. I think there's a lot of other more creative games on the horizon right now. But that said, I think this will find a niche for people. I'm glad that they included a playable demo so people can kind of get their hands on it and see if they like it. The combat is fast and fluid. The graphics, for the most part, look good, although I'll say they definitely favored frame rate over texture, which I am not complaining about, but it would have nice to been to have that toggle, because during the cutscenes, and there are a lot of scripted cutscenes, you're going to notice characters' armor is very pixelated, their weapons look very pixelated, yet the frame rate's very, very good, but it does come at a pretty significant trade-off in just overall graphical quality. But that said, I know it's an alpha, there may be bugs, there may be tuning, there may be more patching, it's hard to say. I'm not faulting the game by the graphics, it was just an observation I wanted to make. But if you are a fan of these types of games and you love these really aggressive, you're going to take you're going to take damage and you're probably going to die in 2 or 3 hits, slowly working your way, collecting more weapons, collecting more abilities and potions, and becoming more powerful to fight bigger and more punishing enemies, then I think you're going to like what Code Vein has to offer. But if you're, as Brent loves to say, soulsed out, or if you're like me and just kind of gave up on Sekiro because the final boss was just incredibly stupid and way overpowered and just sucked the fun out of that game, you may want to pass on this one until something comes along a little bit later. I didn't really see anything that pushes this genre, maybe not that it needs to, but I didn't really see anything that pushes this genre in some wild new direction. And I am not seeing anything that really is going to distinguish it from The Surge 2 or Neo 2. This just seems kind of to be a traditional paint-by-numbers Dark Souls type game. And it's based in anime, again, something I'm not a big fan of. So a pass for me for now. Maybe I'll pick it up when it's a little bit cheaper in price. But for now, it's not for me. But I wanted to do this video to get this out there because I am a big Dark Souls fan. I am a big Bloodborne fan. And I thought, reading about this game, that it would definitely appeal to me. But in playing through it, I can say that it's just, for me. But anyways, leave a comment below. Let me know if you guys got to put your hands on the Code Vein demo. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And with that, I'm going to close out this video. And thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.